the Can with Carmella Cann. Today we're going to be talking about the war on drag. I have 3 guests tonight. Let's welcome Clover Welsh, a New York City drag personality and filmmaker and a Democrat.
That's right.
We have Josie, who's a transgender woman, mental health counselor, independent voter, and also a foster parent. And we have Travis Horn, Florida Republican politico and communications executive, father of 2. Welcome. So let's talk about drag for a while. So I'm going to start with Drag Story Hour. There's been a lot of pushback in this new culture war that I feel is like culture war on gender identity. What are your thoughts, Clover, as someone who does drag on Drag Story Hour?
Well, Drag Story is just pure, wholesome entertainment. That's a lot of fun. When I do it, it's crowded, so kids want to see it. Parents want to send their kids. The kids are always smiling as a performer who performs live. When you can see, if you can see the audience's faces, I always look to see, and their faces are always, always smiling. They're always enjoying. They're always laughing. They're an amazing audience.
So you're pro Drag
Oh
Story
yes,
Hour.
absolutely.
Okay.
And kids have an amazing imagination, so it's really great for them.
Josie, what are your thoughts on Drag Story Hour?
I'm pro. Just as long as whatever art is being presented at the time is appropriate for the age range, I see no problem with it.
And Travis?
Yeah, I'm gonna be, I guess, the lone against vote on that. Again, it's not a religious objection. I just, for me as a parent, it's not something that I'm gonna support. But I certainly understand. I mean, I've been to a drag show or two in my life as an adult and enjoyed the entertainment and have gone out with friends and Ybor City here in Tampa, well known for being friendly to drag, and in fact there was a restaurant.
What are your, if you don't mind me asking, what are your reservations about the Drag Story Hour that you have a problem with?
Again, like I said, it's not a religious objection. I try to keep my kids focused on the sort of the core things that I want them to focus on, which is reading, writing, arithmetic. Not becomes a story time. I mean, Daddy is telling story time. Daddy will be reading a book here later tonight. So,
well, hypothetically, for instance, a lot of kids go to the library. I mean, this is usually done as an extracurricular activity. It's not done as in substitute for subjects in school. So it's like Saturday or after school programs where you have at a library function or a museum function that they're hosting an initiative of Drag Story Hour. So it's not really taking away from kids learning in school. It's just an extracurricular activity, like sending your kids to play sports or something like that. So,
yeah, and I get it. It's I don't like the idea of waging a war against drag. Doesn't appeal to me. Protesting any drag story hour or a drag show, that doesn't resonate with me.
Is it the fact that it's men who are dressed up as women that's bothering you about this?
No, I mean that's those individuals' right, and it's a free country. They get to dress up however you want,
Got it.
Yes. So
please click the link below and visit Carmella Cann's shop. Have official merchandise, anything from magnets to tote bag. And they're perfect for either holiday gifts or birthday gifts. And you could get your official Carmella Cann merchandise on the link below. And then Clover, what are the pros you think about Drag Story Hour?
Well, it's good, fun entertainment, so you can't beat that. It could be whole.
But the question is it entertainment for adults or is it entertainment for children?
It is entertainment for children, especially because children love costumes. Children love watching a purple dinosaur named Barney. They love watching a square sponge, a little lamb chop puppet kit, a green frog puppet. Kids love all this stuff.
Okay.
Of course, there's dirty jokes and clean jokes, as long as you keep it clean, of course. There's X-rated movies and G-rated movies.
I mean, Drag Story Hour started in 2015, so it's only been around for about a decade. And I'm going to open this up a little bit more because it's kind of started to where it's also become a war on drag performances. Like you had Tennessee that wanted to ban, drag queens from even walking in public if a kid's in the same, street as them.
Right.
So, like, I mean, Travis, what are your thoughts on like a state like Tennessee that was trying to pass a bill to ban
So
drag
something
queens
like
from-
that. Something like that, I'm going to be on your side. I believe in free expression. Again, as long as I think really my reservation about children being, involved in Drag Story Hour is that they don't get a chance to decide sort of, and if again, it all falls under that whole conversation about gender affirming care and things like that. I
Got
want
it.
them to be able to
So
be of an age
you're
where they
you're
can
looking
make
at
that decision
this.
for themselves.
So you're looking at this from the whole movement of there's a big gender ideology that drags falling under that umbrella, that like transgender, non-binary, the whole culture war going on in America.
Well, I certainly think some of those things are getting conflated. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
you may not see it that way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I think
hmm and I'm hearing it because I think about I've been a drag performer for over 2 decades, and I always considered myself, a clown for adults. I really never wanted to perform for kids. I don't want to perform for kids, but I have been hired to do events like weddings or baby showers where, for instance, whoever was hosting that, there were kids present. Of course, I modified what I would do for adults to be more suitable. So, what about the thought? Do you think it should be left up to each individual parent to make that decision?
yeah. That's really the bulk of my reservation is that I want the parents to be able to make those decisions in the home.
Okay.
And the government doesn't intervene in that. And if there is a story hour at a public space and they want to do it. Now, Florida has passed some legislation limiting those sorts of gatherings. They have.
Oh, they have. Okay.
Yeah.
And Clover, what are your thoughts there?
On,
Do you think it should be left for the parents?
of course, this is for the
Okay.
parents.
So if a parent's against it, like Travis, they should be able to not send their
Yeah,
kids.
they don't have to send their kids, but so many parents are for it. So many kids enjoy it, and they say, "Oh, when's the next one? We love it." I was hired at a girl's. She was 13-year-old girl's birthday party to put makeup on all her friends and dress them up as princesses, and they loved it. And the mother loved me, and the father loved it. So,
Well, different parents have different values
Yeah.
and different belief systems. Like I'm going to, in my family, there I have 2 different sets of cousins, and one when they were young, at 5 years old, the mom did not care if he watched Rambo or like what we would consider adult entertainment in terms
Right.
of movies.
Yeah.
Versus the other person in my family, when she was raising her daughter, did care and did monitor like what she took in. So parents, what they expose to their kids, each parent's different in how they want to raise their kid or what they feel is appropriate or not appropriate.
But if you try to ban it, the kid will want it even more. The forbidden fruit aspect. The kids will want it.
True. Hey, I might need Clover's rates for when my daughter gets to be, when she gets to be 13, 14, 15,
So
16.
how about that?
As a teenager.
How
Oh.
about the idea of like, how old is your daughter, Travis, if you mind me asking?
She's going to be 6 tomorrow.
6,
so-
okay. What if she were 16 and there was drag? Would that bother you as much?
Hey, me as a parent, I fall particularly. I'm no saint, and I've done things. So like I'm, I don't know. We'll have that conversation. She's already 6 going on 60 already. It seems like so. That's a conversation that we could certainly have. And I really wasn't kidding. I think I'd rather have Clover over and do a makeup party than spend a day at Disney World, which I'm probably gonna get roped into playing with the princesses over there at the castle. So
Thank you.
yeah, no, for real.
Yeah. Josie, now I want to bring you into this. Like, what are like you've heard Travis's thoughts? He thinks that we should stick to subjects in school, and of course, I think there's a high consensus that it should be left up to the parent. Josie, what are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree with the whole being left up to the parents thing. I'm all about live and let live, and if this is something that uh, a child wants to participate in, or a parent wants their child to participate in, and they bring them to this event, whatever it may be, that's up to the parents. You have sometimes over at libraries or other locations, celebrations of different holidays, whatever they might be, and maybe that parent, that family does not follow that particular religion, or doesn't celebrate that particular holiday, and it's the same thing.
I mean, what are your
Whenever
thoughts?
the parent,
I mean, the description that a lot of people who are opposed to this are calling it like sexualizing kids. That's
yeah.
one of the ways this has been described, the rhetoric that's out there now. What are your thoughts there when they say that drag queens are sexualizing kids?
I wonder what you think about drag performances being banned in Tennessee, in public, in front of kids. What's your take on it?
My take on all of it in general is it's the sexualization of children, which we're against.
What is the worry with the drag story hour stuff? Because some people say, there's nothing sexy or provocative about reading a book in a kid's library. They're not particularly sexualized.
No
But what's your thought?
That we're pushing gender ideology on children as young as kindergarten, as young as preschool. And drag story hour is a part of that. I'm optimistic that we can make change and we can save the country, that we can save the kids.
But it's not just conservative mums who are speaking out. There are some from within the gay community who also aren't happy.
I did get permission to go up on the street and do street interviews and ask people what they think about like kids at drag shows.
Cool. Hi Mickey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Mickey Cutler is from a group called Gays Against Groomers. They claim to be, in their words, an organisation of gays against the sexualisation, indoctrination and medicalisation of children under the guise of lgbtqia+. We met her chatting to a friend about upcoming events.
Yeah, so this basically just goes over what the organization is about as well.
Mickey says children shouldn't even be at Pride events and doesn't think drag is for kids.
Some of them are in very inappropriate clothing or very little clothing at all. Dancing inappropriately, swinging from swings attached to the ceilings, singing.
They're not doing that in public libraries, are they? In public libraries, let's be honest, they're reading children's books to kids in a library. Mm-hmm. That's not, maybe like at night time there's some more risque stuff that goes on, but in the day, what is that sexy? Kind of, is that a worry, reading books in a library? Tell me what you think about it.
I mean, we were on the topic of drag, and like during the day, we are seeing this stuff happen in front of kids. We're seeing a lot of targeting of children, not only in public spaces with like child-friendly drag shows. I say that with full quotes because they are sexual in nature, and children should not be there.
Inherently, any sort of performance art in and of itself might not be a sexual sort of thing unless you make it that. I've always been of the opinion, even any sort of performance of gender is drag to me. So even like looking at WWF, and you have this over the top personas performing basically heightened masculinity for the most part. Of course there are some women that compete, but a lot of times it's men in costumes to sort of exaggerating their masculinity, and that's drag to me too. As well. So yeah.
Clover, what are your thoughts when you hear words that drag for kids is kind of a sexualization type of?
Well, what kind of? Not any drag queen store I've been to. There is sexy drag performers, like there's sexy actresses, there's porn actresses, and there's G-rated actresses. It's certainly not sexy at all. I don't understand why anyone would think that it is, unless the father has a secret fetish and he's getting sex.
I mean,
No.
there has been footage, and I think that it's kind of been blown up a little bit. Like, if you go online and you don't know a lot about the
yeah.
subject, where you do see sometimes some kids at a bar where drag queens are, and the drag queens are dancing to, like, pop culture music.
Right.
And,
Or doing the twerking.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I've
a lot
seen
of
those,
people
yeah.
view that as that's a little bit, when they see that, that's their image of, especially if they've never been to a drag story,
Right.
of what a drag queen is, so to speak.
Right.
So, you know, so there I can understand people's reservations, and I am of two minds there because, again, I say leave it up to the parent, but I can see how people misinterpret or can interpret it in a different way.
Yeah, if you're twerking or having, like, I don't wear mini skirts or anything or show cleavage. So a lot of times I like to show cleavage. Don't tell anyone, but I would never do it at a drag queen story hour where there's kids around. But
Okay.
But if you're twerking, then
But
twerking
I'm saying, let's say
becomes
they're going to a drag
normal.
brunch. Do you think that a parent bringing a kid to a drag brunch with them is appropriate?
Yeah, but actually, if they were acting sexy, it's like done to mimic
But again,
women.
I mean, if,
And the way people enjoy it, so it really won't be looked upon as dirty. If there's women laughing and having a good time, it takes the dirtiness away from it.
okay, Josie, what are your thoughts on, for instance, let's say there's a drag brunch, and do you think it's appropriate for a parent to bring a child with them? Let's say, you know.
So I've been to all sorts of different types of drag shows and drag events. Some are sort of watered down to be family friendly, and some aren't. I think a parent needs to know their child. A parent needs to know what they're bringing their child to. And also part of it is also on the performers and on the venue. If you know there's going to be children there, or there's a possibility that children would be there, you know, it's common sense, you know, you might want to keep it a little more PG or G, as opposed to twerking in a G string or whatever the case may be.
I mean, do you think that there should be an age that, or do you think again it should be up to the parent, or do you think that like certain ages may not be the right type of entertainment that a child should go to?
I would leave it up to the parents. At the end of the day, there's parents that will bring their children to all sorts of different types of shows and performances. I mean, I see R-rated movies, and parents are bringing their children to these movies.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. It's all on the parents, and you know your child too.
Yeah.
Because some children, you know, I have a 13-year-old or almost 13 years old. You know, some things might be appropriate for him, some might not. You know, it's all about the maturity level. You know, in some ways he's pretty mature, and in other ways he is pretty childlike.
Got it.
So, you know, I'd
well,
have
that's
to look
being
at
a child.
yeah. So I look at the venue, look at who the performers are, and you know, if it's something that's meant to be family friendly, then absolutely. And if it's not, then that's on you. Again, like parents bringing their children to R-rated movies.
Yeah. Travis,
That's your decision. And
yeah. Travis, I have a question. So, like, there are films, a lot of people who are pro drag story hour have brought up, like, Miss Doubtfire, which was a movie that, you know, I would say a lot of kids watch. And the storyline is of a guy who's being a nanny to his own kids. Do you think that's okay, Travis, for that movie to exist and kids who do watch that movie and parents don't seem to have a big issue with that?
Hello, I'm Euphigenia Doubtfire, dear.
Bon appetit!
It's homework time.
You can't imagine what it was like being married to Daniel.
He sounds like an absolute stallion.
Hello, dear! Oh! Mayday!
Robin Williams. A man who'd do anything.
Back off!
God, it's hot in here.
To see his kids.
Oh!
Mrs. Doubtfire.
First day as a woman. I'm getting hot flashes.
Yeah, I've thought about that since our pre-production meeting sort of discussion about that, and I'm not sure that's exactly apples to apples, but I recall the movie and I liked it as a kid.
Okay, yeah. So
As
you say it's not
a
apples to
youngster.
apples. Can you give me a little bit more of what you think it's apples to oranges?
Again, it was the whole storyline. Everyone followed it from beginning to end. Was the dad, like you said, dressed up to be, didn't do it out of any sort of.
So it wasn't about
desire
drag.
to-
It was about a storyline, and it had a plot, and this is kind of the character of the plot.
Yeah, and again, this is coming from someone who's not militantly anti-drag. You know what I mean?
No,
Like you
I
said,
agree.
from
I've heard
the
of
show,
this.
so
I I've heard the Robin Williams movie, Miss Doubtfire, being used by some drag performers. Were like, oh well, Miss Doubtfire. But I do agree there is a difference. It's not apples for apples. It's apples for oranges, because this is a movie with a
it's funny.
storyline, and
This is
also he was playing an old lady who kind of it was more about the comedy and the and it's a little different than like when someone is dressed up without the storyline. And it's kind
Well,
of like
you all brought up yourselves, I never really considered the idea that maybe maybe you have your own internal rating system for drag shows. Like everyone's noted on the panel, is that not every drag show is the same. And
Exactly.
if they're being provocative, if they're wearing provocative clothing versus something where you're covered up.
yeah. I mean, do I
I
look
could certainly
provocative right now to you?
No, you look very professional. You look
Okay.
like a television show host
Right.
should.
Thanks, because
Yeah.
like I said, there's different types of drag. And it's not all in one bubble. And I
Actually,
think
there are some, like Brendan Voss puts Don't Bring Children to this, and so they are doing that.
yeah, but I get it, because I'm all for like let the parents decide, because in the end of the day, like I said, I've been hired to go to events where am a wedding officiant. There were children at this event. The host knew that they were hiring a drag queen. A lot of the guests, same things with baby showers. Those parents were okay. Of course, I'm not going to do what I'm going to do performing at that type of event, the same I would do in a nightlife bar if I'm hosting another event. There would be two different types of shows. But this is kind of where I say different parents have different ideas of what's appropriate and not appropriate.
I think a fundamental question maybe that we should ask ourselves is, what is the intention? Is it to teach kids to love to read and love story time?
I
Because
think that
I'm by
yes.
nature a storyteller. I do storytelling for a living in my job as a public relations professional. And so I love storytelling, and kids naturally love it. And they remember these stories for their lives when they hear them as kids. So I get it. If that's, if there is an impetus, if the impetus behind it is just to promote reading and things
I
like
think
that.
it is. I think there is an element of that, to want to promote reading, to want to make it fun for kids, the experience. There's it's the idea of dress up, especially recently with Donald Trump passing this executive order. There are only two sexes. It's really wanting. I think this falls under that a little bit, where it's this culture war on the idea that a male in a wig is playing another sex, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that fleshes out, but
I
I'll
think
say
most-
my brother made me always be the Indian when we played cowboys and Indians growing up. So we dressed up, and I never, of course, I haven't turned into a cowboy though since I did get a chance to dress up as a cowboy.
I mean, do you feel that you're are you currently married?
I'm sorry?
Are you married?
No, I'm divorced,
Okay.
twice divorced.
Do you think that the mothers of the girls would be okay with Drag Story Hour versus you, or do you think they would be in alignment with this your thoughts on it?
It's not a conversation we had. I think they might both. I don't know. I don't know. So that my son, I might even feel a little differently about my son, attending one versus my daughter. I think.
Which would you think is more appropriate, a boy going or a girl going?
As a man, probably, and again, I don't know why I feel this way,
Yeah.
but my daughter she loves dressing up.
Okay.
And of course, my son was always a real just boy's boy, so I don't know that he would be terribly interested in it. He never dressed up much, stuff like that. So, although he could have gotten into acting, I don't know. So, you never know. I don't know. It's just not a conversation that we had.
But there's now this like backlash, I feel like, Clover, on drag performers in general, where it's like now I feel like they're attacking the entire drag community of entertainment. Like, and I get it. Before RuPaul, and correct me, drag was primarily in the nightlife, in bars and underground. It was not commercialized.
It wasn't.
Now RuPaul has brought it to a commercial level. You see a lot more people doing drag than ever before.
A lot more.
And as a creative expression of themselves.
Right.
And, and I think that because there's other issues going on with transgender, non-binary, and these other things, it's kind of all being lumped together. Would you agree or disagree with me?
Yeah, it is being lumped together.
Yeah.
But it's, it has its differences. Not everybody could know or understand what the differences are. And I don't even know what to call myself sometimes, because some drag queens, they only dress in drag to perform on stage or at a party. But I will dress in drag to meet my friends. I spend sometimes a day dressed as a female, expressing myself as a female too. So maybe I'm transgender, but you could be transgender and a drag queen too. I think a drag queen definition is if you entertain people with a female persona and glitter and glamour, and moving like a diva. That's would be drag performance. And there are other ones in the New York City, like Candace Kane. There's other trans women, not just gay men who do that, not just straight men who do it too.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a whole, there's a culture war going on this gender, and drag is kind of being thrown into that. Would you agree, Travis, or not?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like I said, I think everything does get kind of conflated.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Josie?
Yeah, it's just to people that really aren't in the know and aren't connected to the community and don't understand the nuances and the differences and so on and so forth between all these different subsets of people under the same LGBTQ umbrella. Drag and trans and everything just all sort of seem or feel like they're from the same I'm trying to say this right. At the end of the day, people have been expressing discomfort basically with any sort of alteration of gender, any sort of performance of gender, any sort of gender fluidity, even though it really hasn't been a problem up until now.
Well, I think that we never had Drag Story Hour until about 10 years ago. We never had a lot of these terms like non-binary, queer, till about the last decade or so. And I think this is kind of, a new shift we're seeing in culture.
Yeah. And also one thing I want to piggyback on something that was mentioned earlier, Mrs. Doubtfire, very entertaining movie, but if it were framed differently and shot differently, it could actually be quite a horrific movie.
Okay.
If you think about it, if you change the performance of it and the music and the jokiness, it's actually a pretty dark story if you want to take it there. But,
he had to deal with women like getting her purse snatched, being hit on a public bus.
Yeah.
So he dealt with women. He had to learn that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Last question, because I've also seen a lot of the anti-drag also has been conflated with religion on some level, where people have been using religion as one of the reasons they oppose drag.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now.
Why are you coming to a kids event, you sick?
Why are you hosting Drag Queen Kid?
This was the event that shook the team at Drag Queen Storytime Kentucky into cancelling their next show. The usual protesters showed up, but they also received a bomb threat just minutes before the drag queen was about to start.
Clover, what are your thoughts there? Do you think that's being done right now?
Oh, you know, actually, religion is used to hate. Like in New York City, the St. Patrick's Day parade wouldn't allow gays to march in it. And the city, and there's, because of our religion, they were saying it's an Irish parade. They're saying, well, in Ireland allows the gays. New York City allows the gays. Oh, but we're a Catholic parade. We're not an Irish parade. So once you say it's part of your religion, people can say, well, your religion is wrong, change your religion. They don't say that. It's like accepted to hate if you put the religious label on it.
Yeah.
And that's also been used to deny women getting equal rights. Well, the Bible says men are better, which it does say, so
yeah,
that's why.
Josie, on the religion aspect, do you think that that's one of the...
Oh yeah, of course, that's always going to be part of the driving factor, even if it's subtly and it's not necessarily spoken on. But a lot of it is based upon religious values and customs and culture and our understanding of culture and things like that. Absolutely. But, you know, religion really has no business in any sort of governing whatsoever. Religion, you know, that's for you and your church or within your household or amongst your people. Like, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, we want to play religion. I mean, really, at the end of the day, everybody in this world is going to hell in somebody else's religion.
I like the way you put that. And Travis, last, you know, do you say that religion sometimes is being used in this? I know you said.
I'm sure it plays a. I'm sure it plays a factor. I'm a pretty poor Christian myself.
Okay.
So again, you know, I drink a cuss. I'm an old army guy, so I'm not gonna be the one to cast the first stone. I can certainly tell you that.
So your opposition has nothing to do with religion. It's just, you know, it's something you're not.
Yeah. No, I you know, my mom wants me to go to church and do better, but you know, doesn't everybody's mom want that for them?
Yeah, no, definitely, you know. Please click the link below and visit Carmella Cann's shop. Have official merchandise, anything from magnets to tote bags. And they're perfect for either holiday gifts or birthday gifts. And you can get your official Carmella Cann merchandise on the link below. You know, it's a challenging topic. I think it's something that the LGBTQ community is struggling with at this point on this war on gender. And, you know, I think all of us, even Travis, we can all come to the consensus that it should be up to the parent.
Yeah.
And it should exist. Let the parent choose if they want to send their child to it or not. Correct?
Right.
Now, I don't believe that a school should host it in the idea of I think a parent should, if they do, should opt out of if they want to not send their child.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
You know, it's about, you know, and this is something about the Republicans is they're very about pro-parent. And, you know, one of the arguments I've heard is, oh, schools are keeping the fact that my child's transgender from me. We want to have a say. Well, okay, if you're pro-parent, then you should be okay with the pro-parents that want to send their kids to a drag show.
Right.
Right? Would you say that's fair?
Here.
Being consistent.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Let's be consistent altogether. So if you're really taking a position of pro-parent, people that are against, like, gender, you know, where they feel like they want to say in their kids, you know, how to raise their kid and so forth, then let the parents that do want to send their kids raise the kids that they want to raise as well their way.
And their kids could always rebel, which they probably will.
Exactly.
Like I mentioned earlier, you know, there's children, you know, that come from another religion, let's say, and over at school they're having a Christmas party, and you know the child might have to sit that one out as per the parents or their religion, their culture, whatever the case may be. So I definitely do believe parents should always be given the opportunity to decide. You know, it's just the same, like I said, with any other celebration or gathering or get together. Some things might not be appropriate for your child,
and you know,
or you might not want your child participating in something. Look, they have trunk or treats in the parking lots all over the place. And some people don't celebrate Halloween, and if that's not something you want your child to go to, nobody should force your child to go there.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
on a last note, like I said,
Yeah.
I've performed in events where kids have been present, and if a parent told me, oh well, I really don't want my child to, see you in drag, I'd be fine. I don't take offense to it. Well, I see. Yeah, every parent should have the right to decide. I don't find that offensive. I don't like to perform for kids anyway, because that's not my audience. But those that do.
The Halloween comparison is an interesting one there. I've actually seen parents last year who, opposed it on a religious basis. And again, I trick-or-treated as a kid. I don't have any religious objection to
Yeah.
it. I think that,
I mean, it's
if you
Halloween
teach
on my
your
show
children-
every show. So
with some people, they might not want their child celebrating Halloween. Yes, once in a while you have a child that'll sneak off and go trick-or-treating around the corner with their friends.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing you could do about that. I mean, you can use that scenario for any possible celebration, gathering, get together, whatever you call it. There's things, that my mom might not have wanted me to go to when I was 15 or 16 years old. I still went.
Yeah.
And, my mom, even when I was 31 years old, slapped me when she figured out exactly where I was that night when I was 16 and made up this whole story.
Hey, I was in the club scenes at 16, so it's like, I get it. Well, thank you
I would
all.
go to clubs in New York when I was 16.
Yeah.
Live in Connecticut, sneaking off, saying I'm staying over at my friend's house and I'm whipping and dipping on the pier.
Well, I thank all three of you to join me in for this conversation. I think it's an important conversation that we're having as a culture at this point. And, I think that everyone on here, I think, felt the same way, which is let's just leave it up to the parents.
Right.
All right? Thank you
Thanks,
so
Carmella.
much. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Josie. Thank you, Clover.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for tuning in with In the Can with Carmella Cann. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you on the next podcast. See you next time.